Hey wrestling fans, this is Rick Blade telling you to tune in for BJ, DG, best wrestling talk on YouTube.
Welcome back, everybody. BJ here, DG over there.
What's going on, people? How's everybody? Hope everybody has a safe and fun 4th of July weekend. I know I did.
And Jeff's here.
Cheers, everybody.
Wait,
Sometimes
there's
always.
another person here?
Yeah, man. Time to fire it up. I'm here.
Who the hell booked you?
Man,
One inevitability in the wrestling business is injuries, and we have sad news to report. DG.
One half of the Backseat Boys, Tommy Grayson, suffered a really bad ankle injury on the 4th of July GCW backyard show. And how unfortunate it is, surgery will be required for that. And if anybody would like to help and support, go over to ProWrestlingTees.com, look up the Backseat Boys merchandise, or just look on one of their social media pages as well. JP posted on his with the link on his page and everything. So if you've ever been entertained by these guys or just want to support and help somebody through some times right now, all proceeds from all their gear, which includes, as me and Chef are wearing, the newer Backseat Boys shirt. There's also
it's in the laundry.
No.
There's also
it was already
older
worn this
Grayson's
week, right?
merch up there as well. So go check that out.
I have to go get some
We
older
wish
stuff
Tommy
for myself.
We wish Tommy all the best and a quick recovery here from us here at BJ and DG Talk Wrestling.
There goes up.
Yeah, one of the nicest guys. You know, the best things, the worst things always happen to the best people, and this is just another case of it. Don't take that footage that you saw a couple weeks ago from JCW, and don't pay that any mind when I'm making this statement here. But yeah, one of the best people I've met in the business so far, and get well soon, Tommy.
Yeah, legit good guy.
I was gonna say
Tommy.
my backseat shirt, all they had was a medium. So and I'm a little bigger than a medium, so I don't like wearing it. It's kind of tight. That's fair. Go on.
I mean, you could at least have hung it up on the wall behind you.
What was I thinking?
We're going to be shirt shaming today.
I might.
You and your Cream World Order shirt.
Creamy.
For life.
But anyway, we got a lot coming up this week. A lot that was set up this week for what's coming up.
Yep.
And more wrestling than probably time this upcoming weekend. We got AEW All-In and NXT Great American Bash going head-to-head. We have Saturday night's main event and then WWE Evolution 2.
Yeah. I mean, you guys have a lot to watch. I really only have one thing.
What time is Evolution 2?
I believe that's a primetime show. One moment. 7 o'clock on on Sunday.
Okay, so we won't have to change our time.
No.
Okay.
No, we just go off the air. Hard out at 7.
Sounds good.
None of this 7:10, 7:20 stuff.
But what we really got to do, and we could kick off talking about AEW, is the fact that AEW is starting their pay-per-view to go head-to-head with NXT at 3 in the afternoon. And maybe if we're lucky, their show will still end before midnight.
Well, I mean, there are a good number of matches here, and there are a good number of matches that could end up being very long.
Oh, yeah.
Off with our predictions right there. All right. Well, at the top, we are assuming the Women's Casino Gauntlet will kick off the whole show here based on cards that we've seen. So this one is going to be predictions, Who do either of you guys have for this one?
With the women's right now, I believe we still don't know who the number 2 entrant is, like we do with the men's casino gauntlet, because this is kind of the opposite of the Royal Rumble, where it starts off as it's to one fall or submission, but people keep entering until there's a winner.
Right.
We know
It's not
Chris
elimination.
Statlander. Yeah, we know Chris Statlander has the number 1 spot. I wouldn't mind seeing her win it. But you know what? Somebody I would kind of like to see get some decent time on TV, Thunder Rosa. Like, every time she comes out, she gets a good pop and everything. Like, why she's relegated to Ring of Honor stuff is beyond me.
Yeah. So, all right. So, final answer, Thunder Rosa?
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Is Megan Bain otherwise booked?
She is not.
Oh, yeah. No, that's a good pick, too.
I'll take her.
You're taking her? All right. And you know what? You mentioned her already, Statlander. I think it's time. I think she's due. I'm going with her.
You know, I just like to say real quick, just because she's been in the news recently with speculation over her contract in AEW is I wouldn't be fully surprised to possibly see someone like Britt Baker return in this match as well.
It would be a nice swerve.
Yeah.
Like, have Britt Baker come back and win this and face the winner of Mercedes, or possibly a rematch Mercedes, and have a redemption for the atrocity that got put on a year ago.
I've also seen a rumor, though, that Britt Baker could be NXT bound. So,
well, apparently her contract could be extended due to injury. So
one of those deals like they screwed over Ray Phoenix with.
Excuse me.
So, you know, it's a situation. I'm not foolish. Everything's just rumor because nobody knows for sure flying around out there. But
right,
we'll see where, you know, all that goes. But I wouldn't be surprised since she's been in the news recently, good or bad, or nothing at all, really, to see her return.
Yeah. All right. So, yeah, potential is there, but we'll see. All right, moving on. We've got the men's casino gauntlet match coming up next. So, another wide open field. It's basically a crapshoot of guesses. BJ, why don't you start us off on this one after you're done with your swig out of your lovely mug there, which I am really enjoying. Yeah, that's awesome. That is beautiful.
I am going to say, yeah, okay, a returning Darby Allin.
You
returning
son of a
Darby Allin.
That was my pick as well.
All right, I'll give both of you Darby. I'm cool with that.
That was my pick. I shouldn't have said nothing to you.
When?
Was there behind the scenes conversation about it at some point?
No, just that I said that I had it. It
was
that
a mental.
I had a guess.
He mentally telepathied it to you, and you stole it from him.
We literally did not talk about this for the last hour.
All right. Well, hey, you guys are both taking Darby. Should I make it the trifecta? No, I'm not making it a trifecta. I'm not even sure exactly who is going to be in this match. I'm not even sure of the guys in. I don't know anything about Orange Cassidy's injury status lately. Is he still far out or is he close?
Yeah, I think he's still injured at the moment.
Okay, so yeah,
we do know Mark Briscoe and MJF. MJF, I think, is a solid pick to win it.
I kind of like that MJF one. Let's see. Definitely not Briscoe. Is Roddy Strong in there?
If Briscoe won it, who?
Roderick Strong.
He could
any
be.
of the other guys.
It's kind of like how the Royal Rumble used to be back in the day. We would know, like,
where you don't know everybody who's going to be in it. Right. You know what? I'm going to go with the relatively safe pick in MJF. I feel like, it's the solid heel to come out of that. He with the Hurt Syndicate now, there could be chicanery and help on
I
that
mean,
end.
I'm also probably looking at it kind of the same way he is, as in Darby Allin returns, he can go up against Mox or Page, and that dynamic will still be there because he can go up to their levels of crazy because he is their level of crazy,
if not higher. So yeah, I think we all got some decent picks there. Well, you guys and I all have decent picks. All right, moving along to the TNT Championship match between Adam Cole and Kyle Fletcher. So I guess I'll start this one just for variety's sake, and I am picking Adam Cole to retain, but there will be chicanery abounding. Adam Cole is barely going to get out of it by the skin of his teeth, and he's going to need that whole group behind him to counteract whatever Callis family BS is going on. But that is my final answer, Adam Cole, baby.
How much I want to pick Cole? How much I want to pick him? I think Kyle Fletcher comes out with that championship.
All right.
Especially after that promo this week and the match they had on Collision. That was really good. And Kyle Fletcher's been on the uptick for a while.
He has. I could see it being his time, but yeah, I feel like
let's be honest. Let's be honest. So, how much we might all be fans of Adam Cole, this reign has not exactly been booked the best for him. He's had solid matches, been put in horrible spots.
True.
He's had a lot of multi-man matches, not title defenses. It might just be time to
give it to someone.
Yeah.
See what Kyle Fletcher can do with it. New puppy that Mr. and Mrs. Danger Ginger have together. Yes, Khaleesi. She is adorable. Hopefully she never births any dragons, though. All right, so BJ, you are the tie-breaking vote here.
As much as I'd love to go with Cole, got to go with the Aussie. It's time for someone else to hold the strap. It's time for Fletcher to hold some gold.
All right,
and with
2-1,
especially with how they've been building Fletcher over the past year, almost a win over Adam Cole means something.
Yes.
Oh yeah, it'll be huge for him.
And he also has a claim at saying that he did beat Garcia when he was champion in the Casino, the Continental Classic, and never got a match with him, even though he did pin the champion 1, 2, 3, which is really weird because usually in wrestling, when a champion gets pinned by somebody, regardless of the circumstances,
makes that usually a champion contender,
or at least earns them a championship match, even if there is a number one contender. Like, oh, you pinned him, so now you get the match at the PLE, but now we have to settle this.
Right. All righty then. Hey, I mean, you guys have almost talked me out of swapping my pick officially, but I'm going to keep Cole just for the sake of one of us having something different. So, all right, moving along. We have got Swerve and Will Ospreay versus the Young Bucks, with the Young Bucks EVP positions on the line. So, DG, let's start off with you this time. Do the Young Bucks keep their positions?
So, if you asked me this last week, I would be 100 or 99.9% sure to say Swerve and Ospreay come out with the win.
Mm-hmm.
But now that the stipulation has changed, that the Bucks could lose their status as EVPs if they lose, and if Swerve and Ospreay lose, they can't challenge for the world championship for a year.
Mm-hmm.
Did somebody stakes. Like that's almost main event worthy stakes on pay-per-view for an excuse to say that, hey, this actually doesn't just affect the world championship, this affects the company as a whole, at least on TV.
Yep. Speaking of the Bucks, how about that limo they bought with Tony Khan's money?
And all the shoes. the tour through everything. Oh man. Oh, you know what?
So sorry, I interrupted your pick.
You know what? I want to go for the sake of interest and what would be just compelling to me personally.
Mm-hmm.
Is I'm going to go with Swerve and Ospreay.
Okay.
I would love to see a world where the Bucks lose their EVP status and lose that power, because now if Mox says, let's just say, example, Mox were to retain, he no longer has the EVP in his back pocket anymore.
Right.
You know, like that definitely creates a new dynamic and a hole in power.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
All right, cool. BJ, who do you got in this one?
It's a tough one. I think they've been kind of building to the Bucks losing their power. So I'm going to go Swerve and Ospreay.
Okay. All right. You know what? Just to be a contrarian, I'm going to make an argument for this. I'm going to pick the Young Bucks. I think that they have a hold on that power, and they love that power with everything that they are and everything that they have, and they will do anything to maintain that power just so they can say they have that power and wield it over everybody. Who are the Young Bucks without that power in AEW? We haven't seen it. We have no idea. So I don't think they want to find out who they are without that power in there. And I think they're going to do everything they can to maintain it. So I, based on those reasons, am going to pick the Young Bucks. Although I do see you and your side for, picking the Swerve and Ospreay. But hey, someone's got to keep it spicy with the pick on the other side, right?
I mean, my other issue is it's hard for me to live in a world where you're going to tell me I've already seen Will Ospreay do all this amazing stuff, and now I have to wait a whole nother year to see him get a championship match again. Like, True. I'm going to be perfectly honest. When I see his entrance and I see the reaction, he might be the hottest one, like Cody and Jey Uso over in AEW. Because when his theme hits and he comes out, that crowd is 100% behind him.
Yeah, the whole crowd's chanting Ospreay, Ospreay.
Yeah, Wyatt, he hits those ropes.
Wyatt, what's up, man?
But yeah, either way, it's going to creep because the Young Bucks will just leave. We just won't see him for a while. Swerve and Ospreay lose. We could be looking at now a built-in feud there.
Yeah, they could blame each other and just have
because
a feud
this was Ospreay.
If
it was Ospreay's idea, and then if Ospreay were to be the one to get pinned in the match,
and now he Swerve's pissed off because you screwed us both out of titles for a year.
So he didn't screw. Yeah, he didn't screw both. He screwed Swerve.
Yeah. Yep.
Either way,
storylines could go either way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I would love to see a Bucks fighting from the bottom, getting their status back story.
Yeah, I would love to see who takes the power in that with that vacuum there.
True, yeah.
Does Kenny Omega and Adam Page possibly win both their matches, and now they take back their position and their power?
Ooh, that could be interesting. Yeah. Both of those guys, if they have, we'll get there later. But if both of those guys were to have their belts and the Young Bucks were to lose this, then that gives those two a lot of power. So, all right, something to think about as we move forward. And next up, though, we do have the tag championship between the champions, the Hurt Syndicate, Jack Speed, and the Patriarchy. So this should be a fun one. BJ, we're starting with you this time. Who do you got?
They hurt people. I don't see the Hurt Business losing their belts yet. And if they do, it's not going to be
the Hurt
kind
who?
of match.
The Hurt who? The Hurt Business? I don't know who these guys are.
Let's just say real quick.
The Beatdown Clan.
After this week and Bailey and Knight and Kevin Knight just constantly getting back on the mic. We ain't dead yet. Y'all got some problems. Like, that's Mick Foley refusing, having the only way to beat him in an I Quit match is have a recording of him screaming I quit and
Right.
play it over the loudspeaker after knocking him out with 11 chair shots.
Yeah, because
Like,
being knocked out doesn't count as saying I quit.
nope, you gotta say I
Well,
quit.
you'd have to pull Mr. Sacco out and put him on and say it with Mr. Sacco.
Mr. Sacco throws in the towel for Mick Foley. God, no, he throws in the small.
throws
No,
in
he
himself.
doesn't throw. No, he throws in like a smaller,
Smaller
white sock.
Uh,
Hey, Rails, there they are. Why are we here?
because that's what we do. All right, so yeah, on
Socks
this tag
flying out of his
thing.
pants.
All right, I am going to. I love me some Mike Bailey. I would love to see him with the championship, so I'm picking Jet Speed just because.
All right.
All right.
All right, DG, who you got?
You know what? This is a very interesting match for me because I'm a huge Mike Bailey fan. I'm a bit of a fan of Kevin Knight. I like his style in the ring. He reminds me of a lot of Leon Slater.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I
Javon
can see
Evans,
that.
kind of a mix of both of them. Looking at some of these younger guys.
Right.
You know, and Christian, it might be the X factor in this match.
Yeah, him and Nick
He
Wayne.
has Christian's probably the most established.
Yeah,
and
you know,
decorated
him and his son though as a tag team.
But having that experience with that kind of goes something. But you know what? I think the Hurt Syndicate win this and they retain.
All right.
Now it will be an interesting situation to see if somehow the men's gauntlet match with MJF and this match somehow tie in together.
Oh, I'm sure that I will.
Somehow with if you could tie them in somehow together, that would be good.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Especially
There's
if they're
many ways they could tie this together.
Yeah. But Hurt Syndicate, I don't think that it's time to pull the titles off of them yet.
No, probably not. But you know, again, someone has to keep it spicy. So I'll take Jet Speed. All right. So moving along. You got something before we move?
So since none of us picked the patriarchy, that means the patriarchy's winning, just so you know.
Yeah, most likely. All right, so yeah, if you're
Damn
betting
you,
on
Tony
professional
Khan.
wrestling, there's your money. So, all right, moving along to the title that will become the unified title once this match is over. We've got Kenny Omega versus Kazuchika Okada. This one, and you know what? I really want Kenny Omega to win this. Like we said, it could lead to some interesting storylines if he and Hangman Page were to both win their matches and the Bucks were to lose and VP power back to the other two who originally had it. I just don't see that happening, though. Okada, he's the new best bout machine. He's a rainmaker. Kenny Omega,
the best
tournament
wrestler on the planet.
Yeah, I'm
If
going
not
with
mistaken,
Okada.
These guys, Okada.
Yeah, I'm going
If I'm not
Okada.
mistaken, these guys had legendary matches at Wrestle Kingdom.
Yes, yeah. These guys have had
9 or 10, I want
legendary.
to say.
Yeah, these guys have had some great matches with each other over the years, and this
But that was like 10 years ago.
But if that trust is there, and we've seen anything with guys who have gone up against each other that many times, that usually that trust is there. They might not be able to do all the same stuff, but there's a lot of trust there. And considering where Kenny did most of his work in New Japan,
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to go Kenny Omega here.
All right.
Because this is also a revenge thing. Let's put that into perspective. This is a story in the making.
It's a very personal feud.
My question now becomes my question now becomes though, and after BJ gets his pick in, we can talk about this. What happens to the Continental Classic now? Because that is one of my favorite things to actually watch from AEW that tournament. Tara, how you doing?
Hey, what's up, Tara?
You doing?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Kazuchika Okada.
All right.
I don't know. I don't see Omega winning this one.
I think that the tide's turning on some of these groups that have been powerful recently, like the Callis family, like the Death Riders.
Yeah.
I think there's a turn coming now where the faces have to start mounting a combat because the heels have been in control for too long. We need to have some balance there.
Bring balance back to the force.
Tara, we talked about Tommy's injury at the top of the show. Everybody, go to Pro Wrestling Tees, new backs, or is it Flying Graysons for there? But go to Pro Wrestling Tees, look up the new back seats, buy some merch. All proceeds go to help Tommy with everything with recovery, surgery, and all that. As we said earlier, we wish him the best in recovery and hope it's a quicker recovery than a longer one. Absolutely. As Tara said, support them.
Yes,
we do. We fully support the back seats here. All right. So we've got our picks in for the unified title. Moving along to the AEW women's title match between Mercedes, Way Too Many Belts Monet, and Timeless Tony Storm.
Way Too Many Belts Monet. I love it.
All right. So, DG, this is your turn to pick the first one here.
I can't pick Mercedes. Like what? Like if you're going to be the world champion in AEW, I get it. You only have to wrestle a couple times a month, but you have those many championships. You know, something has to give eventually.
Yeah.
And she's been undefeated
the entire time she's been in AEW.
But it's only been 26, 27 matches. You know, it's not a lot of matches. At least in AEW,
she's not Goldberg yet.
No, she's worse. She's Mercedes Hogan.
No, I don't know who's worse.
Yeah, I said it. I said it.
I mean, they're real close. They're like right there with each other.
The CE we'll find out why Tony Storm is timeless.
All right.
Tony Storm retained. And what I do expect, because Mercedes matches have stepped up a lot in the past couple months, and the work up to this has been good. I expect a fight from these two.
Yeah.
I really expect a really good match out of them.
All right, BJ, who do you have?
The timeless one.
Begrudgingly?
Yeah, begrudgingly. Woo.
Tony with an asterisk.
Yeah, Tony Storm is going to pull this one off. I just don't see her losing the strap at this point. And Mercedes, any more gold than she's going to need to hire someone to carry some of it.
And I mean, she already has the TBS championship. So it would be history made if she did win it, because she would be the first person to hold both those championships. Double champ,
right.
I think she would be the first double champ, pending how the match is booked out. If the unified championship comes first, even though they're being unified, essentially at the very end of that match, you're a double champion.
For just a split second.
Yeah. So as long as if that match happens first and she doesn't make history, if she wins, I'm okay with that.
All right. So both of you guys are going with Tony. I really want to pick Tony in this. I really do. But I think it is the right time. But you know, do I want to keep it spicy and pick Mercedes and give reasons why she could win it? Because there are reasons why she could win it. She is a good wrestler. She picks her spots. She gets, has a little bit of creative control, brother. But yeah. No, I think I am going to give us our first clean sweep on this card, and I am going with you guys and picking Timeless Tony Storm to finally break Mercedes' win streak on AEW. I think that's going to be the big reason that Mercedes loses this one, is it's just time. If she doesn't lose it now, how long is it going to be, and who's going to take it off her? And we can't have that. We can't have her turn into another Goldberg, especially since she had a whole career where we saw her take losses. So, I think it's time. I think she gets the loss. I think Tony wins it. All right. So next up, we have the men's title defended in a Texas death match between Jon Moxley and Hangman Adam Page. All right, BJ, you are first up this time. How do you see this one going?
Moxley wins.
Why are you saying that?
I don't know. I just haven't we been here before?
Yeah.
I don't think Paige has what it takes to beat Mox. And I'm just sick of saying it, but I feel like it's going to continue until we get the next guy. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I sadly do see your point. However, I'm going to say that Hangman makes good in Texas in this Texas death match, and he's going to take full advantage of the rules that he can. He knows that the Death Riders are going to be behind Mox. He knows they're going to be coming. He's going to have his own posse behind him. You're going to see it. You're going to see it come out in full effect, and Hangman Page is going to take that briefcase, open it up, and show off the AEW World Championship to the people once again.
I hope so.
So,
but I
Danger
doubt it.
Ginger, who do you agree with here, DJ?
You know what? I'm going to be honest. As we all know, I'm not a fan of necessarily the storyline they've done with all this, right? Because we've just never gotten to why they're doing it.
Right.
Otherwise, a conversation I think I had with one of you at one point. It is interesting to say, given some of the returns and stuff, that since the story started, more tickets have started selling. More people have started watching AEW again because people want to see him lose the championship. That is a sign of a good heel. That is a sign of something old school where people were buying tickets to events to see a heel Ric Flair get beaten. To go see some of these great heels that we grew up watching, just get beaten. And then they don't. And it brings them back to see it again. In this case, I think Hangman Adam Page, especially in a Texas death match, which is something that they're both very familiar with being in death matches. Yeah, I definitely think Hangman gets this. I think it's time to pull the title off of him.
All right. That's 2 for Adam Page and 1 Mox. And that brings us to the end of All In, unless they get some sort of 5 more matches booked to take us past 3 a.m.
I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple more matches added, most likely pre-show matches and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because unless they do one of the gauntlet matches for the pre-show, I could see that as well, most likely being the first ever women's gauntlet match, because that's just my guess. You know what? Let's just throw Swerve and Ospreay and the Bucks on the pre-show. You really want to get people in to watch the rest of the show? Let's throw a match out there. It would put my ass in a seat for the pre-show.
Yeah.
Especially if it's the last match to take you into the pay-per-view.
You don't want that to be like a time-constrained match like that, though. Yeah, you don't want that to have a hard out.
No, you don't time. No, it's not going to get a hard out.
Because when you're switching over from pre-show to main show.
Well, then maybe you should be buying the pay-per-view to see the end of the match.
Ooh, that's evil. That is so evil. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of All In. Let's get straight over to their counter programming from WWE with the NXT Great American Bash. We've only got the 3 matches that are actually announced, but we also have the contract signing for the TNA World Title match between Trick Williams, Joe Hendry, and Mike Santana, which, I'm sure we all see that going the way all of these contract signings always go. They get it signed, they put each other through tables, and then we move on to the next match. Thank you, Tara. DG's wearing the same one.
Oh, and an update, I finally got to close a tab.
Nice.
On my browser here, finishing that
Good for
conversation.
you.
So that makes me
Free up
happy.
memory. All right. So
what are the
let's
matches?
go. There are only 3 matches that we have announced here so far. We've got let's just start right off and go to our picks here.
No. Just list them real quick.
Okay, list them real quick. We've got Sol Ruca versus Izzy Dame for the Women's North American title. We have Jordan Grace and Blake Monroe versus Fatal Influence for shits and giggles. And then we've got Inamura versus Obafemi for the men's title.
Okay. I heard that they're going to be booking a family triple threat.
Okay. All right. So do we want to? So the family threat will be what? Luca, Tony D, and Stacks all against each other.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like all 3 of the guys against each other.
I heard there's a possibility of that match being added.
All right. Well, I'll throw it on here.
Tara,
We
going
can
and hitting up
speculate on
that
it.
Pro Wrestling T site. Everybody else should do the same. Link scrolling right there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I also posted it here in the chat. So yeah, go get that merch, people. Go help support a great guy in a time of need during injury.
Oh yeah.
All right. So yeah, let's start with the speculative match here with the family triple threat between Lucas, Stacks, and Tony D. BJ, you brought it to us. Why don't you start us off with the speculation here?
All right. Well, at some point Rizzo returns, but who does she align herself with? And I feel like whoever she ends up aligning herself with, it's going to be teased.
Is she the other person? Is she the other person that has been doing everything for Stacks that Tony has thought was Luca the entire time?
See, and there we go. Could be, maybe not.
No, but that would be an interesting twist to keep everything still in there without having to bring in a new person at the moment.
Right.
And then you could have him building out from there.
Rizzo at the safe house, so yeah. Stacks could have easily manipulated her to do his bidding at that point.
Or she's been on his side the entire time.
Yeah, it was a setup.
Maybe she's the one that told him. Maybe she's the one that told him where the safe house was.
Well, no, he knew where the safe house was before that.
No.
I mean,
yeah, but that's why. But I'm just saying, what if she's the one feeding the information? He could say I knew where it was the entire time because she knew.
No, but he said back in he and Tony had used that safe house before. He had said that Tony and he had used that safe house before, so he knew where that safe house was. Yeah, she wasn't feeding him the location.
No. I forgot.
He went to the safe house and he talked to her himself, and he got her to go on the side. That's the speculation.
I might forget minor things, but I also do watch pro wrestling new stuff 6 days a week.
Yes, you do. And you talk about it on the 7th.
I'm gonna go Luca.
All right, BJ is going with Luca. That's a swerve there. Give me a reasoning.
Hold on. So here's something interesting. Has there ever been a triple threat Heritage Cup match?
Not to my knowledge.
No.
Okay.
So, but BJ, why are you picking Luca here?
Okay. Tony's going to lose one way or the other. I think he's moving on soon. And I think, this might be not necessarily a send-off, but this might be like a write-off. In which case, the obvious is going to be Stacks. Luca being the swerve.
Right.
I'm going with the swerve.
You know what? I
All
didn't
right.
get behind that. And you have Luca pin Stacks, so then now you can instantly pair them together with him pursuing the Heritage Cup for now. And that
So
puts
you're
somebody
backing
right
Luca
in
as well?
Stacks. No, I think Stacks wins, but I can see where that can go from there.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I am also picking Stacks. I think the scenario that I came up with there is, he knew where the safe house was. He immediately went there, found Rizzo there, and talked to her, gave her a nice little spiel and deal, and they're going to be on the same page now, and she is going to help him take over the family fully. And I think Tony's probably most likely main roster bound at some point soon. All right. So that'll bring us to that women's North American title match between Sol Ruca and Izzy Dame. DG, why don't you start us off on this one between the ladies?
This is a very interesting situation here where they've kind of been teasing something, which we've thought from with Sol and Zarya, the way they've been. I could see Tatum Paxley helping Izzy Dame win that championship.
Okay. I haven't been watching recently, but has Tatum Paxley shown the calling
Izzy
or something like that?
Izzy has befriended Tatum.
Oh, okay.
And
All
has
right.
been slowly bringing her into the calling. She's not an official member yet, but
she's like a tangential member. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So you're going with Izzy Dame here?
Yeah, you know what? I'll go with Izzy Dame. I'll go with Izzy Dame at the moment.
All right.
By the way, just real quick, because I was going to bring this up, I appreciate that with NXT, we finally have started seeing one of the Speed Championships on one of their main shows.
Really?
As Sol Ruca has been seen the last couple times holding both championships in the back. Now, something we also didn't bring up last week, last week with Chad's injury, was the fact of Ludwig Kaiser seen dressed as a El Grande Americano, and also that Chad Gable was the men's speed champion.
Okay. Yes. What's going to happen?
One of the two gimmicks.
Well, I mean, Grande still has the championship because he showed up and he walked right by, American Made. He said hi to them and moved on, went to his match. I mean, we didn't really see Ludwig Kaiser all that much, to my understanding, but I did see the clip of Grande Americano there.
So you're telling me this man just instantly grew like 7 inches in a matter of a week?
Dude, it could have just been a camera angle. Unless you're there in person looking at him.
I mean, all I saw was on Instagram, so it was on Instagram. So the aspect ratio is different, I haven't seen it on TV, manipulated anyway. Right? Yeah. So you never know, but yeah. And Godspeed to Chad Gable, and good to see Grande Americano healed up very quickly. All right. So now DG's, still in catering. I'm going to pick in this match. I'm going to stick with Izzy Dame for my pick as well. I think, the culling has had a plan for her. She's been on the come up ever since she's been a part of that group. And she is, the last I saw of her on NXT programming, she was actually coming up with a plan for the culling and then moving forward. And so, I think it's time for her to take control. I think Izzy Dame comes out with that belt. All right. How about you, BJ?
Going to make it unanimous. Izzy.
All right. Okay. Nice and Izzy there.
Yeah, I think that Sol Ruca and Zarya should be moved into the women's tag team title picture anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In all honesty.
Zaruka.
Yeah. Yep. All right. And that brings us. Yeah. That brings us to this women's tag match we've got next between Jordan Grace and Blake Monroe against Fatal Influence. All right, so I guess this one is my turn to start it off, and I am going with Jordan Grace and Blake Monroe over Fatal Influence. And the reasoning for that should be obvious. I mean, Blake Monroe, she's the new shiny toy in the company. They want to make her look good. Jordan Grace, she's Jordan Grace. She's a powerhouse. There is no reason that these two should lose this match to Fatal Influence. Absolutely none. So, yeah, I'm going Grace and Monroe.
Is it Jasmine and Fallon?
It doesn't matter who it is.
It's JC Jane and Fallon.
JC and Fallon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't think it matters.
Right?
Well, because Jordan faces...
Definitely still the third member of the group.
JC at Evolution.
Okay.
So the night before their title match, they're having this tag team title match. Or this tag title. This
just
tag match.
Tag
I keep
match.
saying, yeah.
Tag match for fun.
Yeah.
I'm going to call this team the Fresh Faces. The Fresh Faces win.
Fresh Faces. Okay, I'm writing that down so I remember your name for them. Fresh Faces. All right, got it.
You know what? I'm going to take Glamorous Muscle over Fatal Influence.
Glamorous Muscle. Wow. Okay, there's a name. I'm writing that one down too. Wow. I have the just boring great Monroe there for me, and you all have like creative names for this team. Glamorous Muscle. Man, I feel so inadequate right now. That sounds like a me problem, and it is. All right, this brings us to...
I also...
Oh, yeah.
I the reason I picked them is because, in all honesty, with what was announced for TNA Slammiversary this week, that of who wins at Evolution between JC Jane and Jordan Grace will go on to Slammiversary for TNA and face the TNA Knockouts champion, a title versus title match with both championships on the line.
I'm here for it. Yeah, that would be a lot of fun.
It does become interesting when they announced it when we watched TNA. I kind of speculate how interesting would it be for Jordan Grace to swing back around and be the one to unify those titles somehow.
Yep.
Because we've had one title go one way. Now it's time for NXT to get theirs and bring a title the other way.
Yep.
But
all right,
just something interesting either way of who comes out of the Evolution match.
Tis. All right, moving on to the main event, and this one is the men's championship. Obafemi defending against Inamura. So, DG, you start us off with this one. Who do you got?
I'm taking Oba.
Okay.
Inamura, he's going to give him a fight, but there's something bigger down the road coming, probably SummerSlam weekend for Obafemi. We could be looking at possible rematch with Jasper Troy at this point.
Okay.
We could be looking at something, maybe Miles Bourne gets back in that picture now.
Yeah.
There's definitely different ways it could go. I mean, it could be something completely unexpected. We could have some crossover from TNA, maybe.
Sure. All right. So we got Obafemi picked there. BJ, you agreeing with that?
Yeah. Oba just can't be beat right now. It's going to take something huge for this.
Unless you're Tony D'Angelo, you're not beating Obafemi.
Yeah, and that took everything Tony had and then some. All right, yeah, I'm going to make it the clean sweep here again. And so the only match that we have any difference of opinion here is BJ picking Luca in the potential family triple threat match.
All right, hold on. Bonus question real quick. During the contract signing, if a fight breaks out, who's the person standing in the middle of the ring while everybody's either laid out or outside the ring angry that they just got their ass kicked?
I say Trick. Trick is the one standing.
Yeah, it feels right.
I think it's going to be Santana.
Okay.
I would love to say Joe Hendry, but at the moment, I think it would be more that for Santana to be seen standing tall.
Yeah.
In that situation over Trick and Joe. who is the last and current champion?
Yeah, I'm thinking similar along those lines, but I think Trick is the one who stands tall, especially with it being NXT's pay-per-view, him being
Well,
the
that's what
NXT guy. I
that's what
understand
makes
why
it even better for
Yeah.
Santana.
Yeah,
Because Trick doesn't need that moment. Neither does Hendry. Santana kind of does.
That's fair. All right. Well, that finishes off the first half of viewing for the weekend there.
All right. And since we're halfway through what we're talking about today, you know, we might as well take a break. And what we will be showing today is the highlights from the Key to the City ladder match for SPO, where it was that Tommy Greason was at 2-on-1 in. So here's that, guys. Hope everyone enjoys, and we'll be back in a couple minutes. Oh!
It's the Backstreet Boys!
Yeah!
He has no partner. What kind of crap is this?
Oh! Let's go, Tommy! Woo-hoo!
Do it! He's gonna fly!
Oh!
This is bullshit!
Oh! Yeah!
Oh boy!
Do it! Whoa! Nice! I don't like where we are now, Jose.
Get the key! Get the key!
Get the key! Get the key!
Oh boy!
Oh, man. Oh, shit. Oh! Johnny! And we're back. Kinda, sorta. So we'll do that. Yeah, everybody. Those were highlights with Tommy in it. Everybody. ProWrestlingTees.com/The Amazing Graysons. Go cop some of that merch and help somebody going through a hard time at the moment.
Whew. Excuse me. Yeah.
And
I need a new backseat shirt. I'm gonna have to grab a new one. Now
I do believe I also read that there is some old Flying Graysons merch up there as well. So if you want to get some of that classic merch, you know.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get myself some of that classic Grayson's merch there. All righty. So moving right along to the reason I'm not watching WWE programming right now in Saturday night's main event.
So we just getting the main event of that show out of the way.
No, we'll go chronological on the card. We'll work our way there, you know, down through the layers of hell. All right, let's start off.
I don't know who invited you guys here, but that's not cool.
My invite's always been. So anyway, we will start with Bailey versus Lyra Valkyria. So again, we don't know. Is
that's a rumored match,
Yeah,
Bailey and Lyra, but I do know that there's a triple threat at Evolution 2 for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. So Becky will be defending against both of them. But if that match were to happen, oddly enough, for some reason, I take Lyra in that match.
Yeah, I don't think that's really all that odd because I would also take Lyra in that match. Whoa. So yeah, I am also saying whoa in this match. So yeah, Bailey, she gives good hugs, but I think Lyra is, just she needs to be showcased more. So I think that Bailey would be there for that reason to showcase Lyra. And I think she would do a good job of that. And I think they both make each other look pretty good in that match. But Lyra would come out on top just for storyline reasons. So, BJ, you agree, I assume?
Dun, dun, dun.
Woo.
Yes.
All right.
I just can't get that high pitched right now.
Yeah, none of us can.
Yeah.
Whoa. Somehow I got lower.
Whoa.
All right, another speculated, hypothesized, maybe happening match, should be happening match is Dom defending his Intercontinental belt against AJ Styles. So if this one happens, who do we see winning this?
The fans.
Fans. Okay. Sure. It should be a pretty good match, actually, between these two.
Not just that, they're going to have a good time chanting and booing.
Yes. Yeah, both directions.
So the fans are the new Intercontinental champion. Moving on.
Yeah.
Right.
Taking on
Atlanta, Georgia is now the WWE Intercontinental champion. Congratulations.
Wow, they just swarmed the
fans first vacant for the Intercontinental title.
All right, so legit, who do you think, DG? Or BJ? I don't care. Either one is.
I forgot what match we're on.
It's the Dom versus AJ for the IC.
If it happens.
Right. If it happens.
Dom retains.
All right.
You know what?
Like dirty means.
You know what? Yeah. You know what? Right now, I think Dom retains, but I could see AJ winning the match. And then Dom wins it back like a week or two later in a rematch by any means necessary and figures out the right way to cheat the following time.
No, I'm going
and Roxanne help. It would definitely be interesting to see Roxanne help him retain it.
Yeah, that's exactly the reason I'm picking Dom is because, Roxanne's going to help him retain. She's going to do to Liv exactly what Liv did to Rhea on her way while Rhea was out. She's going to steal her man. She's going to steal her faction. She's going to steal her belt. She's going to steal her tag title, tag partner. Yeah, and Liv's going to come back, and she's going to have to kick the crap out of Roxanne when she does. So, yeah, that's the way I see this going.
And then Roxanne or Rhea will come out and team up with Roxanne against Liv and Raquel. No,
interesting.
Well, we do know that Roxanne and Raquel are going to be defending those women's tag team championships since
yes,
and a fatal 4-way at Evolution, which we still have to wait.
We'll talk about that when we get there.
Well, we still don't know who two of the teams are.
No,
we one more
team.
team.
We know who one of them is, though.
And I think that might be my pick to win it.
All right. Well, we'll talk about that when we get to that actual event. But for now, let's move on to LA Knight versus Seth Rollins. Just because it's Saturday night's main event, we can have a bunch of just because matches and call them, higher quality because it's Saturday
this isn't
night.
a just because match. This whole thing started with Money in the Bank.
There's storyline, but it's not a championship or anything like that. That's what I mean by a just because match.
Yeah. Seth Rollins with an assist from everybody he has with him at the moment.
Yeah.
I don't see LA Knight winning that because him losing and being screwed out of having to win will probably go further than him actually scoring the pinfall.
Yeah. Yeah, you're making all of my points for why I'm also picking Seth. So BJ, what about you?
Yeah, no, agreed. LA, no, he's not in this match to win it. He's in this match to get screwed over and lose.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I mean,
All
credit to him because a lot, especially with the crowds, he's one of the top 5 over guys in that company right now. The crowds have not really let down on anybody unless they do something really bad. And even then, it's a temporary boo, and then they're chanting one more time at the heel to demolish their guy.
Yes. So there we go. All 3 of us picking Seth and his whole crew. Yeah, there we are. Thank you, JP and Tommy. All right, and moving on to the main event. We've got Gunther versus Oldberg for that.
So, Chef, why don't you take this one first?
Sure. I am picking Gunther just so I can start watching WWE programming again. So, yes, once Oldberg retires, I will be back. And, yeah, please put us all out of our misery and get rid of Oldberg for us entirely, legitimately, if you can, Gunther. Thank you. Who's next?
And do we see any kind of cash in?
Oh, hold on. I was just about to address all that.
I was just going straight with the match itself. Just the match itself.
Well, first of all, I hate to say this. I might have to send myself to catering after this whole thing. But Goldberg to beat Gunther to get cashed in by Seth Rollins, and Goldberg gets the win in front of his home crowd to have it stolen from him by Seth Rollins.
Do you think they'll pull the trigger on that, though?
Especially with Rollins having a match right before it.
Right. Well, not necessarily right before
hold on.
on the card.
Hold on. WrestleMania 31. Seth Rollins versus Randy Orton. One of the most famous RKOs that night was him Orton launching him up off his back and taking the RKO. Do you know what happened later on that night during Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns for the WWE Championship? Seth Rollins cashes in, and the heist of the century occurs, where he pins Brock Lesnar to become the WWE champion.
What I mean is, will they pull the trigger on it? Like, will they drop the briefcase so soon, or keep that threat going longer? Maybe until Cena's time is almost up.
You know that's what I would prefer. But if you're looking at booking it to where everybody's happy in the end with the end result,
also,
if it's me with the pencil, how I would do it, how I want to pick is Gunther takes Goldberg out in 3 minutes.
And that's my pick, by the way.
Okay.
Like Gunther Gunther should 100% win this, and there should be no cash in.
Yes.
That's what should happen.
However, you are picking the cash in with Rollins winning after Goldberg wins the match. That's what your official pick is.
And even more, the only way that you're going to even give me a slightly good taste in my mouth with it is after Goldberg stuns Gunther and wins, that Gunther absolutely destroys him and sets him up to be cashed in on. And part of me would really hope that Seth Rollins comes out with a cattle prod and Scott Hall's that shit situation like Starrcade in '98. All right.
So you're making this sound like a pretty huge moment, right? Like a WrestleMania.
For Saturday Night Main Event.
Just Saturday Night's Main Event.
Well, but hold on.
That's what I'm saying.
But hold on.
Would they do this big of a thing for Saturday Night's Main Event?
One, it's in the Georgia. I do believe. Is it in the Georgia Dome? Oh no, it's at the State Farm Arena.
No.
It would be the first title change since Saturday Night's Main Event has returned. The no titles have changed.
Yeah, I don't see this one changing hands either.
Hands yet on Saturday Night's Main Event.
Yeah, I don't think
anytime
this
that
time.
something like this happens, and the way they treat Saturday night's main event like it's mini PLE, that's a PLE and a cash-in can happen anytime, and it would also be the first Money in the Bank cash-in on Saturday night's main event.
See, you're talking like PLE, like big 4 PLE levels of huge. I don't think they would do that on main event.
A lot of people have criticized Saturday night's main event that they're good shows, but they're not great shows the way they're hyped up. With the hype of the last couple, it's a bit of a letdown with the show as a whole. Just the show as a whole.
Because the matches have been letdowns.
Yeah. So now that they know that, typically they'll go and try to temporarily tip the scales back the other way. And
I think if these 4 matches are all good, solid matches, then it's a good card. Even you don't have to have a surprise title change with Goldberg winning men's belt to make it exciting.
But here,
as long as it's a good match.
Let's just say Gunther's. The only way I don't see a cash-in happening is if this match goes beyond like 7. If this match doesn't go beyond like 7 minutes, which I don't expect it to because it's a Goldberg match.
Goldberg couldn't even work 5 in his whole career.
Yeah, let's put this into perspective. Between both of them, their entrances are going to be longer probably than the actual match itself.
Yeah.
Because Goldberg has
get at least 7 minutes of entrances.
Yeah, and in between them, a video package to eat up time. So you're going to have time to eat at the end of the show.
Well, you're not going to have much time to eat at the end. Right. They'll have 5 minutes earmarked at the end of the show for the main event.
I'm just saying, like, at the end. But if you start the main event at 9:55.
Yes. They'll ring the bell at 9:55, and then it's over by 10 o'clock.
But that's what I'm saying. So you're going to look at the time when the main event's starting. You're like, oh, this is going to be the shit.
Yes. Yes. That's exactly.
You're going to look at it anyway and say that
it's a Goldberg match.
But it's not only that. It's that you know the match is going to be short.
Yes.
That you don't take, even though we all expect it to be short, you don't take away the guess game of the chance that actually.
But you also can't leave 20 minutes for a match that's going to take 3.
Well, that's why something's going to happen along the way, which is going to cause a bunch of chicanery to happen. Like Seth Rollins, another attempted cash-in to eat up time with both of them down, so you can eat up maybe 12 minutes of TV time. And he never successfully cashes in. Instead, he takes the spear from Goldberg, and Gunther surprises him and retains. And the referee wakes up 1, 2, 3.
I definitely think Seth will be out with the briefcase, but he will not officially cash in.
I can see him somehow because he got involved in the Punk match just because Punk was in it. I get it. As long as he's breathing, Punk will never win the championship.
They're not putting that moment on free TV.
No.
They put Money in the Bank cash-in moments on free TV all the time.
Yeah, but
there's been more Money in the Bank cash-ins on Raw and SmackDown than there has ever been on pay-per-view.
Right, but not something like that. Not something that big.
Yeah, that would be too many moving parts for them to give away on Saturday night's main event.
I would love to see it happen, but I don't see it happening.
The quality of Saturday night's main event since it's come back, in my opinion, is definitely below Raw and SmackDown, let alone below PLE levels.
Which means with that, if it gives you that feeling, it doesn't feel special. It doesn't feel like something that happens every 3-4 months. That this is supposed to be a big deal. It's happening on
and it always feels like a hyped up letdown.
That's what I'm
everyone
saying.
has felt like a hyped up letdown.
So then they need to do something big.
You're saying they'll try to redeem themselves.
Yeah. So you need to do something big. So one, here's what you're doing. You're giving those hometown fans a moment, a very brief moment of Goldberg having some taste of dignity left and holding up that championship before Gunther just chokes him out and power bombs him through the mat with Seth Rollins be coming out and cashing in and becoming the new world championship. Because to Gunther, it's not going to matter who's the world champion. Because he's going to think that he can
unless
beat
it's
him.
him. Gunther's going to need to prove that. And, the only person Gunther cares about being champion is himself. And I don't think he's...
The problem becomes, what if Gunther was to barely win and Seth Rollins was still to cash in? The best way to...
That's one thing, sure.
The only thing I'm afraid of in this whole scenario, regardless, is that Gunther somehow would look weak coming out of it. Like something, like he can't be the one to get cashed in on.
Well, I think, if Gunther, gets beat to crap by Goldberg and still comes out with the belt, and then Rollins cashes in, that does not make Gunther look weak at all.
Especially when you think about the potential,
especially if
of Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker.
Exactly my point. Yeah,
I can picture
he's going to be softened up at that point.
So here's the moment we have to look for any of this to be a possibility. Goldberg's going to go for the spear, or Gunther's going to go for like a boot or something, and the referee's going to catch it. You're going to look for that moment for the referee. Get speared and a boot simultaneously.
Between just
Don't let it be Charles Robinson, please. He suffered enough.
He already died once this year.
From seeing, dude, they made a trading card out of that moment.
He deserves it.
Little Nate,
he sold
man.
The crap out
You're
of that. That picture was brilliant.
Yes, absolutely. Like I was saying, it's possible none of that happens. I'm just looking at the possibility that if this is supposed to be
thinking about the ifs.
But if this is supposed to be Goldberg's last match and you're simultaneously trying to send the fans home happy, but at the same time yank that moment back away from them to build investment to watch on Monday night, nobody would want to see Goldberg world champion on Monday night after Saturday night's main event.
No.
I'd like to, if he wins that title and walks into Monday Night Raw with it, I hope somebody takes it, melts it, so they're forced to make a new championship.
Just apply a heat ray directly to the ring.
Freaking laser beams, man.
Yes. Yeah, we could just feed Goldberg to sharks. Sharks, we sum it up. I'm good with that.
But either way, I don't see Goldberg walking out as champion one way or the other.
Yeah, good. But
Please.
Still, I don't want to even get his grubby mitts on it at all.
Neither do I, but if it has to happen, the best logical way for it to happen is for him to win.
Cattle prod.
Yeah, hey, I said it. Seth Rollins should come out with the cattle prod.
I think Triple H, I hope, had some kind of a conversation with Goldberg. Like, look, we'll give you the retirement match against Gunther, but there is no way you're sniffing holding that belt at the end of the match. You are not getting another number.
Well, thank you for the subscription. We definitely appreciate it. Welcome to the channel.
Yes.
Yeah, that is, but and what you said, Christopher, I can also agree with, is that if he does win it, I could see something where he shows up on Raw to vacate the title and goes out on top. But here's what's going to happen in that moment. He's going to go to say he's going to vacate it. Seth Rollins' music's going to hit, and then there's the cash in. So if you're going to do it, if you're just going to have them cash in anyway, do it on Saturday night's main event and make it worth something. So the next time we see Saturday night's main event advertised, the last thing in our heads when we think about it's going to be, oh, wow, there was a Money in the Bank cash in last time. Not that, oh, Goldberg was there last time.
Yeah. I don't want to remember Goldberg being there at all.
Yeah.
Can we just move past this, please? Finally, thank you.
Please.
All right.
Anyway, if you haven't heard, Goldberg's also going to be coming back, and he's going to be a full-time announcer replacing Pat McAfee.
Send me to catering.
Oh, and he's going to be the new World GM.
Send me to permanent catering. All right, so let's move on from Saturday finally. After
another
those
tab
three,
closed. Yes.
All right. So
Yeah,
moving on to
where's-
Sunday the 13th, we have Evolution, the all women's pay-per-view from WWE. And this should be a definite banger here. Just a highlight of the athleticism of these women athletes and getting to see what they can actually do.
Yeah. So just real quick.
Yeah, real quick.
I'm just going to run down the card real quick.
Sure.
All right. So on this show, Jade Cargill versus Naomi in some type of street fight style match.
No holds barred match.
No holds barred. We have a women's battle royal with the winner, I believe, getting a championship match. I don't know if it's of their choosing or whatever brand they're on. We have a fatal four-way women's tag team championship match with Raquel and Roxanne Perez defending against Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair and two other teams. We have a women's intercontinental championship triple threat. Becky Lynch, Baylor, Lyra Valkyria. We have the NXT Women's Championship match, which has also other things at stake now to go on to TNA Slammiversary for a title versus title match between JC Jane and Jordan Grace. We have for the WWE Women's World Championship, Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley, and Rhea's never defeat Io Sky. She's never beaten her. And this match, I honestly think, will be the main event of the show.
It should be.
Stratton defending the WWE Women's Championship against the Hall of Famer and legend Trish Stratus.
Yeah, that was supposed to be whichever Bella it was, but she got hurt by falling down in the ring. So
no, that was Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan was supposed to.
That was supposed to be Liv. Okay, the Bella that fell down and got hurt wasn't supposed to do it.
Which, by the way, great way to shift gears and just let Nikki Bella disappear from television after like that night. The Raw that Liv Morgan got injured on also ended like 15 minutes early because they just cut a segment and didn't do anything in its place.
Yeah, they were like, no one cares about this. Let's just kill it.
But I don't think we know too many of the names, if any, actually for the Women's Battle Royal. Any ideas who could come out of that match? Because I figured that would be a good hypothetical starting point.
I wouldn't mind starting this one, and I am going to pick Stephanie Vaquer to win this.
You would.
Mark.
Yeah. Yes, 100%. That's why I'm picking Stephanie Vaquer to win this. You know I'm right. She has the talent. She has the skills. She can get this battle royal done, and she deserves a shot at a title.
Real quick, Christopher in the chat thinks that Becky, Lyra, and Bayley should be the main event for the Intercontinental Championship. That by name of two of the three names, that does make it a main event match. However, and honestly, I think Stratton and Stratus main event just because it's Trish Stratus. Otherwise, Io Sky and Rhea Ripley should be the main event of that show.
I think it's going to be Io and Rhea. I think Io and Rhea is going to be the main event there.
Rhea's been there, so has Io, and they just would deserve that moment. So Women's Battle Royal.
Yep, I went with Stephanie Vaquer. Looks like Christopher is going with. What do you say, BJ?
What's the over/under on seeing Lita?
Ooh, I'd say that's pretty good odds on that.
Another question, real quick, because if that's your final pick, is it possible we see TNA talent or Triple A talent possibly appear in this match as well?
I would bet we see both.
So could we see the likes of somebody like Tasha Steelz,
Masha Slamovich?
Masha would be my pick because she's got the belt.
I don't see her because she already has a shot at the championship. Why does she need to enter a battle royal to get a shot at a championship? That she's already promised a shot at Slammiversary and a title match.
So the title
I wouldn't mind seeing her there.
The title shot is for Clash in Paris, so that's a WWE event.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so yeah, that'll
So
be.
I don't think they're going to have a TNA.
But I'm saying,
superstar win.
They could appear, but they're not going to win.
Yes, there was so I wanted to bring this up too. Somebody very interesting posted wearing something she hadn't worn in a really long time. That was AJ Lee in a story wearing some of her gear. Kelly and AJ Lee, which is why I wanted to bring in the weapon. I would love, dude. I'm going to say that might be the happiest time for me to hear that song.
Oh yeah.
I just wanted to come out as CM Punk's manager one night, just randomly.
Oh yeah. Give him a good luck kiss.
This is definitely one of those matches where it could be anybody.
Oh yeah.
You know, especially between the main roster and NXT alone. And even if we throw in just a couple names, like what if, for example, somebody recently released just to be in it, like Indy Hartwell, who just signed with TNA.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Dana Brooke.
Sure.
Ash by Elegance.
Yeah. Ash, that would be a fun one to bring back now that she's got a
Killer
character.
Kelly.
That I'm going to be talking about Killer Kelly later.
They're just going to be like Kelly coming out.
Not Kelly, but Killer Kelly. All right. So, do either of you guys have a pick for who's going to win this women's battle royal here out of all these potentials?
So
it's a weird situation because we don't know who's in it. So we're just thinking of, you know what?
Yeah, it's crapshoot.
Lash Legend.
Nia Jax.
All right. So Nia Jax, Lash Legend. Love it.
When all else fails in a battle royal, take the biggest person.
Yeah, good plan. All right, so we got Lash Legend for Danger Ginger, Nia Jax for BJ, and Stephanie Vicaire for me.
You just reminded me of the championship scramble match they did for the ECW title way back when, and Big Show's the one defending the title. Everybody else in the match just jumped the Big Show and took him out for like the first 4 minutes of the match, and then he gets up, just starts hitting everybody with kendo sticks, and then pulls out a whole trash can full of kendo sticks and puts them over his back and just starts going around and destroying everyone.
Yeah.
Oh, good times.
Yes, indeed.
Good times.
All right. So next up, we have got the no holds barred match between Jade Cargill and Naomi. This one's going to be a hard hitting banger of a match with a lot behind it. So, BJ, who do you got?
I literally just played this exact match on WWE Backlash WWE 2K25 today.
Nice.
And just like in my game, Jade is just going to absolutely manhandle Naomi.
Mm-hmm. All right.
It's not for gold, or it's not for like.
No, this is just personal. This is straight up personal.
Yeah, so this one, she's just going to get manhandled.
I take Jade Cargill as well, just due to the fact it pushes the narrative for when at SummerSlam that Jade Cargill wins the WWE Women's Championship. Here comes Naomi to take the moment away from her, and this heated feud will continue.
Yep.
WWE, don't make him right. I love the sound of it, but just like please do something else so he's not right.
Yeah, you guys have already made my arguments here. So yes, Jade with the win, and we move on to the next contest. We've got that fatal 4-way for the women's tag between Raquel and Roxanne. You know, obviously Roxy stepping in for the injured Liv Morgan. So, and then we've only got the one other team so far in Alexa and Charlotte, who half that team I love, half that team I'm And then the other two teams, we are not sure about who's going to be at. Is it actually going to be established female tag teams coming in there? Is it going to be
a
couple more makeshift teams thrown in there together?
Because I think I saw Adam Pearce posted something.
Okay.
We'll see if I can find a rundown of that.
Maybe they bring back the party girls for this.
Yeah, no. What are some of the other tag teams right now for the women that we could see? I could see Sol Ruka and Zarya being a part of that match.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I think.
Wait a minute, hold on.
They're definitely.
Let me see.
Yeah, I'm not sure who the women tag teams are currently. All that they only have the one set of belts for all of them across all 3 shows, so it kind of gets lost in the shuffle all the time. Oh wow, yeah, that's a team, isn't it?
So far for Monday night,
Damon Tatum right there, Christopher Leclerc said. That
would be interesting. Yeah. So far from Monday Night Raw, they've announced Roxanne Perez versus Kairi Sane. You know, she could take out another half of the women's tag team.
What about the Kabuki Warriors reuniting?
I don't think that in a pinch, maybe. I could see Asuka winning that Battle Royal too, now that we're talking about it and bringing them up. We got Sami Zayn going against Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed facing Jey Uso. That's what's been announced so far.
On Evolution?
No.
And Penta versus Seth Rollins.
It's weird for Evolution. An all-women show with all these dudes on it?
No. I was looking for Monday Night Raw to see if they announced.
Why are we talking about Raw? We're still on Evolution.
To see if there's another participant announced.
Yeah, to see if there was a match announced. To see, I said that I'm going to check. Man, you know what? We ain't got time for that. Man. You gotta pay attention.
No.
Well, fine.
Right, so it's Kabuki Warriors. I can't really. I know there's other options on Raw because we got one more from Raw and an NXT team coming, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And did what's her face get released? That was Jade Lash Legends partner.
Yep.
Jakara.
Yeah, Jakara Jackson. Yeah.
So I mean, could we could hypothetically see a TNA women's tag team?
Yeah.
What about the Inspiration?
Ooh. Yeah.
That would be. Yeah. No. That's
could be iconic.
This has another interest. They could just appear in the Battle Royal.
Yeah, that too.
So, but in all honesty, I wouldn't mind Raquel and Roxanne winning it because it would definitely be an interesting dynamic with the Judgment Day because then everybody holds gold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think regardless of who else is in it, they're going to retain.
A part of me, but I kind of have a leaning toward Alexa Bliss and Charlotte though as well.
Really?
Because how much of a step down is it for Charlotte not to only have to be a tag team champion, but be a tag team champion with somebody who she feels like is less than her? The reluctant tag team.
Yeah. We've seen that storyline before.
You know, eventually Charlotte will turn on Alexa, you know.
Sooner rather than later, probably.
Yeah, and which will push Alexa to the Wyatts. And there's an MO right there. But I love what they're doing with the Wyatts right now as well. That 8-man tag they had this week on SmackDown was really fun.
Cool. All right. So so BJ and
I'll go Raquel and Roxanne.
All right, so
I'm literally like a 0.00001.
All right. Yeah,
we all pick ahead of where I rank it for Alexa Bliss and Charlotte to somehow win those titles. I would say those betting odds would be kind of even with those two.
Yeah. I obviously with where I think this storyline's going, I have to pick Raquel and Roxanne to retain because Roxanne, she needs to prove herself and win over everyone from the Judgment Day in order for her to take everything away from Liv the way that she did from Rhea. But, you know, it's not going to be a grand plan. Roxanne's just going to decide to do it. just because she can, because it's opportunity. She's there. Didn't mean for it to happen, just kind of did. And here we are.
Yeah. Not like, it all depends on a lot of these matches we have talked about today. We're literally playing a guessing game with as well, more or less.
We always do.
No, but just in the idea that we don't know anything.
Yeah, and I know even less than you guys because I haven't watched WWE for weeks. I'm getting all my third-hand knowledge off of this show. Instagram.
You know what? Not watching because somebody's there that you don't like, I think truly makes you the biggest mark of them all.
If that, so be it.
Or maybe have you become the anti-mark?
Yeah, because if I was truly marking out, wouldn't I be watching for him to lose? Think about it.
The monitor, the anti-monitor. So I guess wrestling would have to have the marks and the anti-marks.
Yeah, makes
there has
sense
to be
me.
balance.
Yes. All right, which brings us to the NXT Women's Title match between JC Jane and Jordynne Grace. This one's going to be fun.
Not
JC
just
Jane,
that.
Yeah.
What's the pressure now on these ladies, knowing that most likely after winning this match, they're going on in another week to Slammiversary and facing Masa Slamovich and a title for title match or title versus title. I believe it said that both championships were on the line because I even saw the video.
Yep. It's supposed to be a championship for championship match in my recollection of what I saw as well.
So would you say that adds pressure to this match to go out there knowing what's next for you?
I'm not sure it's added pressure because you're always expected to go out there and perform and defend.
For JC Jane, if she defeats Jordynne Grace, not only did she beat the last champion, but now she has the pressure to go on and win an established women's championship that has a ton of legacy behind it for women's wrestling.
I don't think Jordan perceives that as pressure.
For Jordynne Grace, it's a moment to go return back to where she started and take back something maybe in her head she might feel like she never should have lost.
Sure. But I'm thinking that JC doesn't see it as a challenge or pressure like that. I think she sees it as her right and her privilege to own that belt if she wants it. So, I think that, she could come out the winner there. She could. I don't think she does come out the winner here. Spoiler for my pick. I'm picking Jordynne Grace here to win. But yeah, I think JC's got a shot of winning it, especially if Fatal Influence helps her. But Jordynne Grace is definitely my pick. She is the powerhouse here. She deserves this title in NXT. And I would love to see her go and have that rematch against Masa Slamovich because she lost that belt directly before she signed with NXT and came over to WWE.
Yeah.
So we never got that rematch. So it would be cool. And if that rematch happens, could totally see that belt being the one.
The rematch that should have never happened.
Yet somehow does. So yeah, I am picking Jordynne Grace there.
I want to pick Jordynne Grace to win this, but I think as we talked about, I think it was last week, maybe a couple weeks ago at this point, that I look at Jordynne Grace as somebody who doesn't need the NXT title.
Yeah,
she went through NXT. If she goes to the main roster, she's going to be somebody. Oh, it would have been cool if she won it just to have it. But you're not going to say that doesn't make her any less of a credible future world champion on the main roster.
True.
Although
all of the women that they've brought up recently have all been former women's champions over in NXT. They all kind of have that as part of their pedigree. So I think they probably want that on Jordynne's resume, just like even a short reign like they had for Julia. Like just even a couple of weeks, something like that.
So here becomes my thing at the moment. Just with that is JC Jane just won the title. So now we're going to have another short reign. Stephanie Vaquer didn't have a long reign as champion. and then you would have Jordan Grace have a short reign as champion. Now you're just so Sean's just like, hey, I'm just going to toss this like a bouquet behind me, and whoever catches it, they get to go out and win the title tonight.
But there's reasons.
And if JC Jane gets it, she gets to retain the title. Like,
I mean, all of these women are legitimate. It's not like none of them have deserved it.
But here's what you're doing. You're now watering down the championship because you're hot shot.
Not really.
Too much. Too quick.
Not really.
2 minutes.
Look how many hot shots it took in the Attitude Era.
We're talking about a different time in pro wrestling.
So what?
We're now. I will say this within kind of a comparison. If we're going to just compare, as I have compared the roster, this women's roster. All right, I could give it a little bit, but I feel like we've already hit that limit of the hot shots with the title. We've seen a lot of championships change very much recently in the last 3 months across the board.
Yeah,
we need to have a little bit of stability with some of these other championships. And now let's put this into perspective. Let's say Jordan Grace wins. What if Masha beats Jordan?
Yeah.
Now you're hot-shotting the title again to hot-shot it at some point off of Masha and back to NXT eventually. So the title's going to lose credibility in the eyes of the fans. That's just my opinion.
I don't think it loses
especially for that era.
Yeah, I don't.
Especially for that era of the championship, you'll be like, all right, it was competitive, but maybe JC Jane deserved a good reign. She's in the very beginning of it. So I'm going to go with JC to retain. Okay. And interestingly enough, I wouldn't mind seeing her win that Knockouts title the following week either.
Okay.
Because since we've had one title switch brands, like I wouldn't mind Masha having that NXT title neither. But it would be interesting to see both top TNA titles on the other brand.
Sure.
Like let's just feed into the IWC and let them think that that WWE is literally tearing TNA apart.
All right, so BJ, make your pick, sir.
JC has always felt transitional to me. She's felt like a champion who got the belt just because she put the work in and she's been there so long. But someone who was just a placeholder for someone better, and that better person is Jordan Grace.
Yep. All righty then. It's 2 of us for Jordan, 1 for JC.
I mean, I would love to see Jordan. I would love to see Jordan win that championship. Don't get it wrong. I just feel like, hey, you know what? You could always do it like this. Jordan could somehow earn a rematch for SummerSlam weekend.
Yeah. All right. Can we bring up that last comment there from Christopher LeClaire, please, before we move on? I got JC Jane winning because, according to the betting odds, JC Jane has a 90% to retain. All I'm going to say about that, never bet on pro wrestling.
Hold on. Seriously, no. That is the completely wrong line. You never tell me the odds. That was the correct line, and you botched it.
I wasn't in Star Wars mode.
Man, listen. Neither was I. But that was the first thing I thought of, and I wish you the best in all your future endeavors. BJ's like, oh, wow, that he didn't just get sent to catering. He got future endeavored. Ouch.
Well, hey, someone's got to cook catering, right? All right, so this brings us to the 3-way dance between Becky, Bayley, and Lyra for that Intercontinental Women's belt. So, BJ, why don't you start us off there?
Becky. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, no,
Becky.
I think Lyra's going to get the belt back.
Oh, you do think you are actually going Lyra?
So is that 1-0, 2-0s, or the woo?
That's going to be a woo.
So that is
okay,
the 2-0.
It's like a 2.5-0. Yeah.
Well, I can't.
Well,
do a
it's hard to make a half O. That's a C. That would make it spell Wook.
Maybe the other half.
Wook, I am a Faja.
Wook over there.
Wuka Crucifix.
And we just got canceled. Good job, everybody.
Hard.
Christopher in
We're
the
walking
chat
the fine
says he
line
has
there.
Bailey.
All
You
right.
know what? I think that Lyra is still going to be so mad at Bailey that this is being thrown together. Becky Lynch is going to steal the win from one of them, and this is going to build on a Bailey-Lyra feud.
All right.
Over getting
yeah,
back to that Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah. All right. Well, you guys have Becky, you have Lyra. I am not picking Bailey just to make it different. Yeah. I love her. I would love to give her a hug, but I don't think she comes out of this one with the belt. Between Lyra and Becky, I'm agreeing with DG on this one. I'm picking Becky. I think she is the one who sneaks out of this with the win here from some little bit of heel tactic on her. That little Bailey and Lyra competition side thing that they got going on.
Again, and
neither one of them is going to beat man.
This seems to be a running thread with us talking about, especially a lot of these WWE Umbrella Championship matches recently. Almost all of them, we can almost say that the championship just changed hands recently.
Yeah.
You can recall in the last 6, 7, 8 weeks, we've seen outside Noam Dar having to drop the cup because that was due to injury. That wasn't literally a hot shot. Yeah. There was no choice in that matter. I just wanted to point that out real quick.
Yeah. That's fair.
This is a wrap on a previous combo.
All right. So moving on to the women's world title match between Tiff and Trish. So which TS wins this one?
That's the WWE Women's Championship match, not the World Championship. World Championship.
Did I mix that one back? I mixed up which championship was which. So yeah, okay. Thank you for the correction there. So the WWE Women's Championship between Tiff and Trish. Should I start this one off? Why not? I'll go with Tiffany because there's no reason Trish should win this match. Trish is my age. Bailey's going to prove you guys wrong.
Looks like we have another Bailey mark.
We appear to. Christopher, would you consider yourself a rosebud?
He also thinks Tiffany retains.
Yeah,
I think so too. There is no reason whatsoever that Trish Stratus should be winning this match. None. No compelling reason.
All right. Yeah, I agree, but I just want to present a path here to say.
Okay.
All right.
Sure.
Tiffany drops the title to Trish. What's the next big PLE?
SummerSlam.
Who would her opponent be? Jade Cargill.
No,
Jade Cargill defeats Trish Stratus and then gets cashed in by Naomi. I'm just saying, what would that say for Jade Cargill? What would it say, though, that you want to push somebody, make them look legit, that they just beat a former, what would be now 8-time WWE Women's Champion and Hall of Famer? On the second biggest stage.
She beats the woman who just beat that. But if Tiffany Stratton beats her and then Jade beats Tiffany,
that's another hot shot of a championship. WWE's giving championships out like they're
Tiffany.
Oprah.
If Tiffany keeps their belt, how's that hot shotting?
But I just said for Trish to win the championship and go into SummerSlam.
Yeah, that would be another. Yeah, that would be a
maybe
hot shot.
maybe make it a triple threat at that point and add Tiffany back into it. And then Trish doesn't have to take the pinfall.
I don't even want Trish to have this belt this time. It makes no sense.
It doesn't.
She's basically she's almost the female Goldberg, but much better.
No, she is nowhere near that. She's nowhere.
I said almost.
Of all the questionable things that she was forced to do in her career, Goldberg still got off easy compared to women's wrestling at that time.
Fair.
Goldberg just had to go out for 3 minutes, kick, spear, jackhammer, 3 count, and go out next
3
week
moves
and
and
do
a
it
pin.
again. Yeah. And then you eventually get the Starcade, and he has to get tasered.
Sure. All right. So who did you
That
pick
happens.
anyway, and all
But
that?
I'll go with Tiffany Stratton to retain. I would love to see something.
After all that, Tiffany retains.
Yeah. Hey, I just wanted to present the road where Trish, if she were to win, would it
All
be
right,
a long?
that's fair.
Would it be a long commitment for her? It would be just to have a
Okay.
Hall of Famer on the SummerSlam card.
Yeah.
It's pro wrestling. We've seen worse.
Yeah.
We
fair.
have Goldberg
All right,
competing
BJ.
against Gunther on Saturday night's
Yeah.
main event. It can't get any worse than that.
That's
Finger
true.
poke of doom.
It's
How you
Tiffany's
see this
time.
going, BJ? Yep. Okay, so clean sweep there for us. All right, brings us to what should be the main event for the world title: Io Sky champion versus challenger Rhea Ripley.
And Rhea Ripley has never defeated Io Sky one-on-one.
So, do we think there's a first time for everything?
Yes, I think that if you're doing the second all women's pay-per-view or PLE now, and it's a great moment to end it with, having Rhea finally be able to defeat the one person that she's never been able to beat. It sends the fans, and there's a lot more to go with it still. Io's kind of ran through the roster pretty quickly. Outside of facing Asuka and Kairi Sane, there's not much more for her to do. And you could just rematch it at SummerSlam. Like, there's stuff that they'll be able to do. And I think you also can swing back around to the Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley feud that just died off because of Bianca's injury.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, there's somebody else for the Women's Battle Royal.
Yeah, sure.
That we didn't bring up. Just, not that I would, because she could get involved in Jade and Naomi as well.
Yeah. All right, so BJ, who you thinking for this Io Rhea matchup?
I get what you're saying about the go home feel good moment of Rhea winning, but at the same time, Io's as over as Rhea.
Oh, I agree as well. I feel like the fans, though, it would just lean more toward that feel good moment because the last couple times something has happened that stopped her from winning the match. You know, like the last time she had her beat before WrestleMania, it was Bianca Belair's fault for getting involved in the match that cost her the championship in the long run.
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna go Io. Io Sky.
Right.
Yeah, Rhea. Back to the drawing board. Figure out how to beat this woman.
All right. Well, I am going to break this tie, and I'm going mommy. I see Rhea winning this one. I pretty much agree with Danger Ginger on this. I think that they're going for this feel-good moment to end this one. This has been a long weekend of wrestling for everybody. I understand your perspective, BJ. I completely get it.
This is more of a feel-good moment to where after the match, the whole roster, we're going to see kayfabe completely broken. All the women are going to be in the ring hugging each other, congratulating each other on an amazing show.
Like, honestly, we're not even guaranteed this is going to be the closer.
No, not at all. No, but
it would make sense that this one's the closer.
Yeah, looking at the card, definitely. But Becky, Bailey, Lyra, I could see that closing the show. You could open with it,
I don't think the Intercontinental belt gets a main event slot over a world belt.
I could see a case because of the names in it with Becky and Bailey.
Right.
There's a case to be made. And that gives Lyra an opportunity to step up. But on something like this, where it's not every year we're getting this show. It's been how long? What was it, 2019 that we got the first one? Least. Something like that. Like, Rhea was young on that show. That's pre-Judgment Day.
Right.
She still had blonde hair.
So there's a lot to say there, and let's just look at it like this. Rhea dropped the title to her before WrestleMania to build up that story. So what if that was the plan in the long run? Like, hey, that has been a connective thread with Rhea since it's happened was who's the one person she can't beat? Io Sky.
And she finally gets the overcome on Evolution.
Yeah.
She evolves up.
But Io Sky still has the all-time record against her,
Sure.
She holds the winning percentage. Rhea just finally was able to get the job done.
I just feel like that's kind of weak for a feel-good moment, like especially when like they're both equally over.
They're both baby faces, yeah.
Yeah. Now you so let's put it like again. This is another match where in the end the fans win, and the fans will be the new WWE Women's World Champion.
And they're going to face.
I get to be Matt Cardona.
All right.
All right. Well, that takes us through all of the pay-per-views for the week.
Yeah. Just real quick.
Yeah, that's all the special stuff.
Spo Wrestling. Go give them a follow on all the social medias. If you live in the Philly, New Jersey, Burlington County area, or just anywhere in New Jersey in general, and you're interested in being a pro wrestler, contact the Pro Wrestling Star Academy. If you want to do production, they can do that. Being a ref, a manager, or you want to actually learn how to wrestle, hey, they can do that. Got some amazing people over there training. Highly recommend it.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Wyatt
Wrestling Club. Go give them a follow on YouTube and Instagram. They do recaps. He does recaps of all the shows, does a really good job. A young creator who, if he sticks with it, will probably have a bright future. And then we could go follow these smucks at BJ and DG Talk Wrestling as well. Oh, wait, you're watching that. My bad.
How y'all make me look older and even as a Muppet.
And we can't forget Wrestle Realm.
All salads and scrambled eggs.
And also Buzzing with Marlo. Also, please go to ProWrestlingTees.com/The Amazing Graysons, which I will drop the link here in the chat again. And go pick up some merch. Tommy Grayson unfortunately suffered an injury during GCW Backyard 7. Broke his ankle. Looking to need surgery. Will be out 3 to 6 months. We are wishing him all the best in his recovery. And all proceeds from these sales will go to help him with all the expenses and stuff needed to go with that.
Just another reason to back JCW even harder in this feud.
Just real quick, we only have a couple minutes left. Match of the week.
Match of the week. Let's do it.
What you got?
I'll go first.
I find the graphic.
Oh, wait. Oh, as soon as the graphic. There it is. Okay, now I can go first. I am going with TNA this week, and we had one hell of a women's championship match. Chain match between Masha Slamovich and her former partner and friend Killer Kelly. These two went at it, left everything. They were attached by a chain the entire time. The chain got used multiple times. There was just so much going on around. If you haven't watched it yet, if you have the TNA app, if you have any other way to watch it, please, I encourage you, go and watch that match between Masha and Kelly this week. My match of the week.
Yeah, that match was awesome. It really was. This is a bit of a hard one for me this week. You know what? I think I'm going to go with the WWE World Tag Team Championship match with the Judgment Day defeating the New Day.
Those are really good
winning
matches.
the Tag Team Championships.
The New Day of Judgment.
It's the new Judgment Day. Which is something I wish we had more time to talk about this week, but
Yeah, we filled the time pretty well. BJ, who you got?
SmackDown 8-man tag Wyatt 6 against one guy from every other team in the division. Great match.
Right.
Chaos, just so much going on. Loved it.
Nice
Little moment with Gargano and Loomis.
Nice. Well, once next week is over and once Goldberg is confirmed to be off my screen, I'm going to track that match down again.
Well.
Oh, Goldberg's on commentary for that.
Goldberg is going all out.
And he referees the match too, right?
Yeah, he's going to referee his own match. He's going to call his own match. He's going to be like Booker T in TNA, when he was just calling commentary on his own stomps with the mic. But yes, everybody, thank you for joining us this week.
I do have one more little. I got one more little thing, real quick. A little fun thing. I went and cleared out my storage unit this week, and there was a certain item in there that I actually didn't know that I had. That had no. I have no recollection of it, and I've obviously never watched it. It is a 100% sealed copy of the 2006 movie Gridiron Gang, starring The Rock and Exhibit. So, yeah.
By the way, Captain Heel, I don't know who Gilbert is, but I think he meant we need Gilbert. And I would absolutely. Yes. Gilbert comes out and stops Seth Rollins' cash in.
Gilbert out and retain.
Yeah, everybody as well, go give a follow to Captain Heel. He posts a lot of fun content on on the Facebook and the Instagram. Somebody else to give a quick shout out to. But yeah, big week of wrestling coming up.
Yeah.
A lot to look forward to, a lot to watch.
Yep.
There's like 10 shows next week.
Captain Heel has gone to Facebook jail. They found out he stole that missing 30 minutes of the AEW Collision episode. He said he did it for The Rock.
Wrong. What a twist.
But everybody, again, thank you for joining us this week. Don't forget to go check out ProWrestlingTees.com, The Amazing Graysons, and go pick up some merch and help support Tommy Grayson with all the funds for surgery, stuff like that. I've had the link scrolling the entire time here today. All the proceeds will go to benefit him through this time. And we look forward to seeing you get back in the ring and do what you do best, brother. Everybody be good to each other out there. And we will see you next week for another episode. BJ and DG Talk Wrestling.
Everybody watching, I'm going to need you to visit www.freakkings.com. Check out all the merch. And before you do that, I'm going to need you to check out BJDG YouTube and Instagram. And while you're doing that, you won't have to remember the name, because you'll remember